Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome in to Duval Daily, presented by GinJag.com. I'm Jordan Lugo. Thanks so much for tuning in here on Monday, February 17th. I don't have to make a sales pitch for you for Tee Higgins because Trevor Lawrence did that himself. Joined Kay Adams today on the Up and Adams show, and Trevor Lawrence talked about a lot of things. Talked about life as a dad, said they've made sure that Shay's on a routine, on a schedule, and as a parent of a nearly 2-year-old now, I can absolutely say on point. Getting the routine down quickly helps with the sleep, helps you out a ton. So any new parents to be, definitely stick with the routine. I'm with Trevor Lawrence there. But Trevor Lawrence, more importantly, he talked about Liam Cohen, how excited he is for the collaborative approach, for the play calling, for the run game, for the scheme, all that. But he was asked about Tee Higgins, potential free agent wide receiver. Says he would love to play with him, throw him the football. They obviously have a history together, going back to Clemson. Unbelievable production between those two at Clemson. Trevor Lawrence throwing Tee Higgins the football. It was great. It was honestly great to watch those two guys for the Clemson Tigers. Tee Higgins was so much fun as a prospect. I loved him in 2020 coming out. He's a guy I mocked to the Jaguars regularly. Didn't happen, but it would be really fascinating to see these two guys together again. And Trevor Lawrence said outside of Joe Burrow, who is Tee Higgins' current quarterback, the relationship that he and Tee Higgins have on and off the field, he feels like he would be up next among the different quarterbacks that Tee Higgins could catch a football from next year, right? Says they had a ton of success together over 2 years, and he's absolutely right. And so does Tee Higgins to Jacksonville potentially make sense? Obviously, Trevor Lawrence has thought about it a little bit. He would like to throw the football to Tee Higgins. I'd like to see him throw the football to Tee Higgins. There's a bit of a take online that Tee Higgins is super injury prone. And I don't know that I would say that. You know, he's averaged 14 games played per year during his 5-year NFL career. I think the injury thing is a little bit overblown. He's only 26 years old. If he was 30, it'd be a different conversation, but he's only 26, just turned 26 in January. And, he's averaged 919 yards per season and 7 touchdowns per season throughout his 5-year career. Last year in 12 games, he scored 10 touchdowns and averaged 75 yards per game. I think he's like a legit number one receiver. I think he's a top 15 receiver in the NFL. And so, yeah, I'd be excited. And Trevor talked about how Jacksonville is a great place to be living here. He also talked about no state income tax, right? That certainly is an alluring aspect of signing with a sports team in the state of Florida. I do think when you play out of state, you get taxed for that. But you have a bunch of home games in Jacksonville where state income tax does not exist, right? But Tee Higgins in Jacksonville, the fit is excellent from just a talent and skill perspective, because you talk about what Tee Higgins does well. He's a big physical receiver, does not drop a lot of footballs, can be a 3-level threat. And again, he has history with Trevor Lawrence, and he's the type of guy that can go up and get some contested catches for you at a high clip. I think you put him and Brian Thomas Jr. on the outside together, you immediately have 2 top 15 receivers in the NFL. And that's nothing to shake a stick at if that's your plan, right? I still don't know that signing a receiver to a $30 million plus deal is like the most likely path to winning the Super Bowl. I'm not saying it's not, because I do think Tee Higgins is great. I think when you look at the path with the highest potential upside, specifically at receiver, though, I would say having 2 rookie receivers or 2 receivers on rookie deals, and then being able to build out the rest of the roster. Because look, wide receiver is the second most expensive position in football right now, outside of quarterback. So you're going to have to drop a ton of money on Tee Higgins. And the Jags have the money to do it. They have the cash and the cap space to sign Tee Higgins and address other needs. I'm not debating that. I'm just saying, if you could potentially sign 2 Pro Bowl caliber players at other spots for the same cost of signing Tee Higgins, which makes more sense, right? I think that's a fair question. But his skill set marries perfectly with what the Jaguars could use as outside receiver. A true X, physical, big-bodied receiver, great catch radius, can go up and get the football, has good athleticism. He's not a burner. But guess what? Brian Thomas Jr. can take care of that. He can take care of the speed part of it. Kind of hate to even invoke it, but thunder and lightning? Yeah. I think you could say if Tee Higgins is in Jacksonville with Brian Thomas Jr., that is the closest thing you've had to thunder and lightning since Jimmy and Keenan. Bar none. So I would not be mad about it. I just don't know that it's like the best use of your resources necessarily. Like, you could address every need you have in free agency. And again, you could sign like 2 Pro Bowl caliber players at like safety and corner, or safety and guard, for probably the same amount you're going to end up having to spend on Tee Higgins. That's just brass tacks. That's kind of how it's looking. I think he's going to be a $30 million wide receiver. Guys with his level of talent, hitting the open market at his age, they're going to get paid. And we don't even know that he's going to hit the open market, right? The Bengals might figure out a way to keep him around. They probably should. I think T and Jamar and Joe Burrow, that is an unbelievable passing game trio that they have there. So, would not be mad about it one bit. I think it would be a good move. Again, I just don't know that it's the highest ceiling move compared to going and getting a couple Pro Bowl caliber guys at other positions and then saying, hey, Tedero McMillan or Jaden Higgins, Matthew Golden, Emeka Egbuka, one of these guys that we can get in the first or second round. Probably second round is what I would do, because at 5, if I had my pick, I would take Mason Graham. So second round, if you could go get somebody who I had graded in a similar range as Tee Higgins coming out in 2020. Again, Emeka Egbuka, totally different type of player, but similar draft grade. Emeka Egbuka, Matthew Golden, Jaden Higgins. I'd be good with that too. But I've always loved Tee Higgins, man. I really wanted the Jaguars to draft him back in 2020. I know that he was kind of viewed as somebody who wasn't a great separator necessarily, big body, contested catch guy, but there was something special about him on tape, and I think he had great fluidity and ball tracking ability, and he could separate down the field. He absolutely could. It'd be something else to see Tee Higgins in Jacksonville with Trevor Lawrence. It really would. I would rather draft a receiver in the second round than sign Tee Higgins to a $30 million deal. But I do think signing Tee Higgins would be great. And I can acknowledge that, like, just because I have this vision for how the team can be built doesn't mean a different vision isn't maybe even, better, right? Or that 2 different ways can lead to success. I absolutely think if Tee Higgins is your answer at wide receiver with Brian Thomas Jr., you're in great shape. It's just about now you're having to fill as well corner, safety, edge 3, interior defensive line, right guard, and you've allocated the most resources that you're going to allocate to any position at wide receiver. And you're paying Gabe Davis still this year, which he'll be off the books. They'll have some dead money in 2026, but they'll be able to move on from him and save a lot of cap space after the 2025 season. So yeah, Trevor Lawrence, talking a little bit about everything about life, about the new coaching staff. I highly encourage y'all to go check that out. I'll provide a link in the description below to that video where you can go see Trevor Lawrence talking with Kay Adams about being a dad, about Liam Cohen and company, about Tee Higgins potentially, that sales pitch to Tee Higgins being a Jacksonville Jaguar. And, change your stripes to some spots. Come down here to Jacksonville. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.